It's your boy Showtimedr. So I'm finally going to get into the 4 new banner units for that we have. I think it's a little much, but I've already addressed that, so let's just get to it. So I managed to pull one, and it's definitely the one I wanted, but let's get into the other ones I haven't pulled. Now, I'm going to couch this for you guys because a lot of the skills that these units have at +5 are going to be drastically different. The base skills will stay there, but they're drastically different as far as, you know, bonus effects or status effects or possibly a buff. So, I can only give you my opinion on the base stats and how useful the character will be. And if you got some more knowledge as far as how useful these characters have been to you, maybe I missed something, go ahead and clarify it for me, okay? So, but here we go. So, number 1, this is Francesca. She's on the fire banner, fire attacker. Physical attacker, it looks like. So her passive, pretty strong. Increased attack 25% and max defense 10% of for her leadership skill for fire allies. So that could be pretty strong depending on what you're doing. For 1, Morph Hammer, 72-second cooldown. Damage 270, 1 enemy. Damage 298, all enemies affected by burn. Ooh, that's pretty sexy, actually. Those are really high base chances considering single target and then any enemy that's affected by burn, so you can get an AoE burn attacker. Or possibly she does it herself, that could get pretty nasty. Let's see here, for her active, 94-second debuff. Increased damage taken by all enemies in the front row by 39%. Okay, so she's like a tank killer then. Interesting. Success rate 100%, duration 12 seconds. Okay, so I guess that's one of those things to where if you know something big's coming, like an effect, or just for her personal skill, this hits 4 enemies at the end. Yeah, that could be pretty good. 212 to 1 enemy, then final attack goes to 4 enemies, kind of like Cicero's 2. Okay. So it's really quick, though, but if you run her with Blossom, because Blossom has a skill that does a similar thing, so do a few other heroes, but since she's a fire, they're both fire, that would actually be pretty good soon. Alright, what else here? Her passive, if you get her Grimoire, damage equal to 29.2% of attack to 5 enemies every 2 attacks. Wow. So she's like a fast farm hero / group killer. Also has some really good damage for the front line. That's actually pretty strong. Her skills are on fairly short cooldown, 72 and 94, considering what they do. And if you can get her some cooldown reduction from someone like a Yuri, or even your Sophia with her Grimoire, yeah, I could see this character actually being pretty badass. Too bad I'm not pulling on the fire banner. Alright, so let's get to the next unit. Oh, my bad. What's on Mercenaries is... Gonna get to Agnes here. So Agnes is the fire tank. And let's see what she does. So defensive female allies. So if you're doing that female-only PvP, it'll be pretty good for that. Or if you just happen to run an all-female team. HP, not terrible. Spawner 1, 57 seconds cooldown, 244 attack, 1 enemy, final attack applies to 3 enemies, so another Cicero-like skill. For every 1 attack, heals self by 125 HP, and a buff that reflects 15.6% of damage taken by allies in own row. Oh! I wonder if she has a taunt. Oh, that would be great. Taunt. Well, anyways, so, but it's still a really good skill, though. Still a really good skill. Passive healing, I'm sure that gets even higher once you skill it up. And Reflect, since she's going to be in the front usually, so... Unless you're putting double tank in the front or something like that, which is viable for some things. Or maybe even triple, depending on the fight you're doing. Could be pretty decent deeps. You'd have to get her attack pretty high, though, for it to matter, but of course you would do that anyway. Okay, that's a pretty good 1 skill. Short cooldown. 2 has a long cooldown, 100 seconds. Damage equal to 172 attack, 3 enemies. Decrease healing of enemies by 45%. 3 enemies with highest attack. Okay. That kind of helps you kill higher attack enemies in PvP. And some PvE. So her Grimoire skill, increased damage reflected on target by 19.9 when active skill is triggered. So that would stack with her 1. And then a buff, apply 22.4% damage reduction from enemies to 3 allies, so not herself. Okay. When the battle begins. Duration 30 seconds. Yeah, that could actually be pretty good for PvP bursting, because usually people are bursting first couple skills in PvP. So you can get that damage reduction on your DPS. That's always pretty solid. Okay, she's a solid unit. I like her. Would love to see what her +5 skills go, but... Now it's Sun-Wukong time. So, just so you guys know, I'm biased. I've been pulling exclusively on the wood banner to get Sun-Wukong. Managed to get 1. And I'm like 12 pulls into it. And I'm pretty high on the... What do you call it? The pieces. The soul shards or whatever. So here's what this hero does. Attack of all physical type allies by 20% on her leadership. And decrease attack of enemies. Now, at rank 2, this will probably be attack 10% and probably like 30%, maybe 25% for the buff. That's pretty significant. PvP. So we'll get to it here. Honor 1, it's a quick self buff, so it only applies on this skill. And possibly if she autos right away afterwards. 35.6% chance, or not chance, rather, pierce rate. So that's ignoring 35.6% of armor, which is dumb. Especially if you start stacking pierce rate on hers, which is what I'm doing with her. Only lasts 7 seconds, like I said, and then also the damage effect here to 3 enemies. So basically hits 3 enemies super freaking hard. Depending on your weapon, you skill to skill up. For 2, this is what makes her in PvP here. So regular damage, 5 enemies, 158% flat. Additional damage, 64% if the enemies are affected by bleed, which we'll get into more of that later. But the status effect, a stun on all 5 enemies for 18 seconds, 30% chance, right? So, fairly high. But then if she is under 50%, it is now a 60% chance. So if you're patient and you wait to use that skill when she's under 50%, like a big AoE goes off or whatever, that's a pretty high chance to stun for 18 seconds. That's pretty crazy. So I've seen a lot of people already be like, oh my god, nerf! But, I mean, you gotta, we'll see what it's like when we see some +5 Wukongs in the house, because even I can't look at her skills, because I only have 1, her skill upgrades. And then her Grimoire, if you manage to get her Grimoire, decrease on cooldown by 2 seconds when healed. So you get someone that has a heal over time, like Yggdrasil. Every 6 seconds, she's getting 2-second cooldown, because if you notice, her cooldown's 100 seconds. 120 seconds, pretty long. So cooldown reduction is actually going to be pretty nice on her. And then you get bleed damage, so the bleed will synergize with this. Give her a little bit extra attack whenever someone's bleeding on her ulti. So 6.3 every 5 seconds for 30 seconds. And success rate 100%. Bleed decreases healing, that always helps. And then also inflict silence, success rate 100%, on a hit target for 20 seconds when using a regular attack. So you see how stupid this could get. That's just, this is mostly a passive attack buff, which is pretty crazy. So Sun-Wukong, it's looking like she's gearing up to be the Goku of this universe, the ML Ken of this universe right now. And so we'll see how that goes. Pretty high on the tier list, as far as I'm concerned. It's PvP especially. PvE, she'll have her spots, you know. There's lots of fire PvE though, so that's kind of gonna hurt her a little bit there. Go ahead, find this. Saion, or Saion rather. So Saion, it's the other wood unit that's on the banner. Haven't pulled one of him yet. He's a tank. So HP of allies by 10, decreased damage taken of wood allies by 5. You know, could be useful. Probably in most cases not. Maybe in super high-end raid, who knows. But so anyways. On his 64-second cooldown, Wrecker. Damage 134 attack to 4 enemies. Decrease attack of target by 18.9%. So Not sure if that's going to go on all 4 targets, but it looks like it does. 80% chance, so can be resisted. Applies taunt to self, making self priority targets for enemy. That's pretty good considering 4 target with taunt. Pretty awesome stuff there. Pretty short cooldown as well, because you look at the taunt lasts 37 seconds. With enough cooldown reduction, and if you have a cooldown reducer, you get his attack fairly high. You could probably get that to basically taunt up almost all the time. If you want it to be all the time. Now on his 2, 80-second Raging Firestorm cooldown. Deals damage equal to 291, 1 enemy. Applies Desertion to target for 15 seconds. Success rate 80%. Regular attacks and active skills are unavailable and target cannot be set. Now, not sure what cannot be set means, but I think it means you can't use... Not only can you not use their skills, but you basically can't even click on their stuff. That's what I'm guessing, but I'd have to actually see it in action. And also increases cooldown by 15 seconds when returning to battle, which means when he gets rezzed, it looks like. Wait, no. Oh, I get what it means now. Okay, so Desertion means that this effect basically, it either kicks them out of the battle. I don't know if there's a graphic that shows there, or they just stop acting or whatever. Maybe they're like banished. But it increases their cooldowns. Oh, that's pretty cool. That actually seems like it could be pretty strong. So, advanced tactics for taunt. I'm going to go over this in my last video for Overhit of the day, but I'll give you guys a sneak peek. If you have a character that taunts in the game, even like Gomeske, put him in the back row. Why not? Put him in the back row. You could put a fairly tanky person in front, but put them in the back row, because if they have an AoE taunt, then you're fairly confident that the taunt is going to go off. Put them in the back row, get that extra 30% damage reduction. Why not? You know? So, just next level tactics there. I'm going to go more over tactics in my next video. And so, overall, this guy, he looks like he could be useful, but I don't know where I'd put him, because I need to see the +5s of everything. Other than Wukong, as I call her. Or Saion, is that Sun-Wukong? Other than Sun-Wukong, the hero I'm more excited for would be the first one I showed you guys, which was the Fire DPS. Francesca here. So, just pretty strong unit overall. So, let me know what your guys' experiences are with these units, if you managed to pull them so far. Wukong's doing awesome for me. I'm using her in that female-only PvP. She's rocking my socks right now. And yeah, so that's my opinions on all the new heroes. Would love to see +5s of everything, like I said, but that's just the way it is right now. I'll have to figure out a way to do that. Maybe there's a website or something I can go look at that. You know, translation and all that, it's usually more pain than it's worth. But for you guys, I'd do anything. So. Alright guys, so hopefully this video helps you out. Let me know your experiences with these heroes and what you're going for. 4 units, that's a lot of units to drop. I hope Nexon kind of stops that. 2 units max, along with a lot of cool events. Maybe a new mode every couple months, or every month or so. Whatever, but... Alright guys, so that's it for me. And if you're new to this channel, yo, I'm Showtime Doctor, Showtime DR. You found my YouTube. Hit a like and subscribe if you enjoyed the content. Check the title info below. There's a link to my Discord, link to my Twitch. You know what those are all about. And I will see you guys later on. Peace out.